पढ़ना.
Yes.
Start from Karika 1 again now. पहले वाचस्पति मिश्रा से. यदि पैटर्न
हाँ.
चेंज करना है तो अपना भी पैटर्न वही रहेगा. क्लास का पैटर्न चेंज करते तो अपना भी थोड़ा चेंज करते, लेकिन चलो ठीक है, जो चल रहा है चलने दो. ओके.
जरूर मैम, रीडिंग फर्स्ट
हाँ,
करेगा,
मैं
स्टार्ट करूं.
सोच रही हूँ उसके पहले जो प्रीपेस है उसको पढ़ने की जरूरत है क्या. इंट्रोडक्शन को पढ़ी लो.
मैं आज जल्दी लॉगिन किया था तो मैं पढ़ा वो
पढ़ा वो.
इंट्रोडक्शन. हाँ.
रानू
पब्लिशर्स
पढ़ा
नोट भी
होगा.
पढ़ा. पब्लिशर्स नोट भी पढ़ा, फिर इंट्रोडक्शन भी पढ़ा.
रानू तुमने पढ़ा है.
Yes, ma'am. Long back I went through in the beginning. अभी फिर से should I read, ma'am, now?
हाँ पढ़ो.
Okay. Every being in this world, without exception, seeks happiness. Even an insignificant creature as an ant tries to avoid pain by crawling away from the railway track when the mighty railway engine crosses the track. But the true nature of happiness cannot be explained by anyone who lacks the philosophical instinct. According to Samkhya philosophers, total isolation of the Purusha from Prakriti that causes the threefold pain is the way for true happiness. They further say that worldly enjoyments are like honey mixed with poison, the sip of a drop of which is enough to end all happiness. So, after they realize such a state of happiness by right cognition of the manifest, the unmanifest, and the cognizer, they are moved with sympathy for the worldly who quiver in the pit of worldly enjoyments. This, in brief, is the origin of philosophical inquiry according to the Samkhya system. Of all the philosophical systems, the Samkhya philosophy is considered to be the most ancient school of thought. Samkhya philosophy maintains a prominent place in all the Shastras since it is either controverted or supported by every other philosophical system. Shankaracharya says, this doctrine, moreover, stands somewhat near to the Vedanta doctrine, since, like the latter, it admits the non-difference of cause and effect, and it, moreover, has been accepted by some of the authors of the Dharma Sutras, such as Devala, and so on. For all these reasons, we have taken special trouble to refute the Pradhan doctrine. In the Mahabharata, it is said that there is no knowledge such as Sankhya and no power like that of Yoga. We should have no doubt as to Sankhya being the highest knowledge. Shanti Parva. Sankhya is derived from the word Sankhya, meaning a sense of thinking and counting. Here, thinking is with reference to some basic principles of the knowledge of Purusha, and counting refers to the 24 principles born out of Prakriti. This double implication of the word has been set forth by Vigyan Bhikshu in his preface to the Sankhya Pravachan Bhashya. So, Sankhya means knowledge of self through right discrimination. The references to Sankhya Sutras are found in the Vedas. For example, tamas is described in the Rig Veda as tam asid tamasa gul hamagre apraketam, which later assumed the form of the unmanifest. This very Rig Veda shows the dissolution of the elements of the elemental world in its cause, thus indicating Satkaryavad, to which philosophy Sankhya belongs. Even the Pradhan is referred to as Aja, and the Veda explains it as below. Further, the Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas of the Sankhya philosophy is explained in the Chandogya Upanishad, and the Sankhya categories are clearly mentioned in Katha Upanishad. It is a well-known fact that Shvetashvara Upanishad is essentially a Sankhya Upanishad because it clearly mentions in the Sankhya categories. In the Shvetashvara Upanishad, the words Samkhya and Kapila have been used for the first time. Again, in the same Upanishad, words like Vyakt, Avyakt, and
Gnya.
Gnya are also found. Similarly, the use of the words Pradhan, Prakriti, and Gun is also found here. The mention of such words as Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas by name, the exposition of 5 subtle elements, the enunciation of the 5 gross elements, the reference to the Sankhya categories of Kshetragya, Sankalpa, Adhyavasaya, Abhiman, and Linga clearly show that these Upanishads were formed after the formulation of the Sankhya system of thought. In the Mahabharata and Puranas, we find the Sankhya philosophy fully explained. Those who want to know details of references to Sankhya are requested to consult the elaborate introduction of Sankhya by Mahamahopadhyay Ganganath Jha. Kapil is generally known as a founder of the Sankhya philosophy. As regards its historicity, many scholars hold different viewpoints which have not been dealt with here. But generally, it is believed that Kapila was the founder of the Sankhya system of thought. He had a disciple by name Asuri. Asuri's disciple was Panchashikha. After him, we hear the name Vindhyavasana. Next, we find the name of Varshagarnya as a teacher of Sankhya. He is followed by Jagyasavya. According to some scholars, Jagyasavya was a classmate of Panchashikha. In the list of names next, we find Vodhu, after that of Asuri, and before that of Panchashikha. Then the names of Devala and Sanaka appear. Then the name of Ishwar Krishna as a teacher of Sankhya appears. He was born in a Kaushiku family. For details, see the Tattva Kaumudi of M.M. Ganganath Jha. Of the standard works on Sankhya, only 3 are available at present: Sankhya Sutra, Tattva Samasa, and Sankhya Karika. Ishwar Krishna appears to be older than Vasubandhu and must have flourished somewhere in the 1st or 2nd century AD. The work of Ishwar Krishna has 70 verses in it. A brief synopsis of the cardinal principles of Sankhya philosophy is given here to facilitate the study of Sankhya. The Sankhya lays down 4-fold divisions of categories based on their respective causal and productive efficiency. They are productive, productive and produced, produced and neither productive nor produced. This classification into a 4-fold division includes 24 tattvas also. The root product is called the Prakriti or nature, being purely productive. The second variety are the other principles like Buddhi, etc. This partakes of the nature of both the productive and the produced, inasmuch as Buddhi evolves Ahankara and the rest. The purely non-productive but the produced principles are the 11 sense organs and the 5 material substances. The Purusha is neither the productive nor the produced. and also it is without any attributes. All the accessories that we see are the effects of the gunas, and the spirit by its very nature is totally free from all these. According to the Samkhya philosophy, a non-entity can never be made an entity, that is to say, that which has never existed can never be brought into existence. The cause only helps the operation of the manifestation of the effect. That is, its manifestation has an effect of a particular cause, for example, the production of oil from oil seeds in which they are lying latent. Thus, we find the effect is always in one way or other related to the cause. But this is not possible if the effects were a non-entity, because a non-entity can have no relation. If the effect is not related with the cause, then every effect would be possible for every cause, thus creating an absurdity of causes and effects. The causal efficiency consists in the existence of the effect in the cause in a latent condition, like oil subsisting only in the seeds but not in the sand. Further, the effect is non-different from the cause, and the former being an entity, the latter must also be an entity. For example, the cloth is not different from the threads composing it, because it is neither heavier nor lighter than the cause, nor can the cloth ever exist apart from the threads. Of all the schools of thought, Sankhya school occupied an intermediate position between the idealist Vedanta and the realist Purva Mimamsa group. The Sankhya is both realistic and dualistic in as much as it holds Prakriti to be an ultimate reality along with Purusha. A close study of Sankhya reveals that it is only close to Vedanta.
What would you say are the key points, highlights?
Ma'am, it explains all 25 elements. It tells about all the evolutes and what's the other word? How the evolution has taken place. Then
Also the origin of philosophy like this. So uh, the uh, the existence of pain, people getting no respite out of the different types of pains and suffering that they have in life. This is the reason why a philosophy like this is uh, is required, is there to explore what are the reasons and how to get out of this pain. So
yeah,
those learned people who realize that uh, the way we all live in this world and this enjoyment and these objects of pain and pleasure, this is nothing but uh, reasons of pain. These are the learned people then who uh, spread this philosophy and who brought this philosophy to us. So pain and removal of pain. This is also what they have said in the introduction. Second point which I noted is this being one of the oldest of the philosophies, this is also referred to by a lot of other philosophies. So Mahabharata is referring to it. There are many Vedas and Upanishads who are referring to the Sankhya principles. So everyone has taken concepts and principles from Sankhya.
yeah. And ma'am, one sentence I find especially interesting, that is in the very first paragraph, somewhere in the middle, where it mentions that after they realize, the people who have understood the Sankhya completely, After they realize such a state of happiness by right cognition of the manifest, unmanifest, and the cognizer, now here comes something which I found very interesting. They are moved with sympathy for the worldly who are suffering
Excellent.
in the world of enjoyment. So it shows the compassion which is derived in the heart of those who have understood Sankhya philosophy. They become more and more compassionate for the others who are still suffering. So I find this very beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's it.
Then lineage is also mentioned, ma'am. The
Hmm.
lineage of all the gurus has been mentioned. Gurus and students, their batch, like their relation to each other. Some batchmates have been mentioned. And
How does one come to learn and understand this philosophy is one because everyone, even an ant, has the desire to get away from pain.
yeah,
And that is how the calling comes to learn a philosophy like this. It will
yeah,
come when the urge to get away from pain will come. It doesn't come it doesn't come easily or naturally or to everyone. Uh,
Absolutely.
it's a point when it will come.
yeah.
और कुछ रह गया?
और
Ma'am,
24 elements के बारे में
Hmm.
बोला है.
Hmm.
So they are of 4 types.
Yeah.
Productive, which is the prakriti, productive and the produced,
Correct.
like buddhi, ahankar, and others. Produced, like the indriyas,
Hmm.
which uh, come from ahankar, and then neither productive nor produced, the purusha.
Purusha.
So
ma'am, if you could explain the last paragraph, I find it a little difficult to understand.
Hmm.
Um, of all the schools of thought, Sankhya school occupied an intermediate position between the Vedanta and the Purva Mimamsa group. Sankhya
This
is
is
both
Raju's
realistic.
area. Let him explain.
Yeah.
Raju, are you there?
Anji.
You understand what is idealist and what is realist? Do you, Ranu?
Sorry, ma'am.
Do you know
Ma'am,
the
could you please?
what is the meaning of idealism, realism, being an idealist or being a realist?
No, ma'am. That's what I wanted to know.
Ah. Anyway, let Raju
Yeah.
explain.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Very much
yes,
audible.
Yeah. So before idealistic, realistic, and all, one important thing we have to hold on to here is dualistic. What we understand
Yes,
by dualistic.
sir. As far as I have understood a little, dualistic is where the
In a very simple
like
meaning, very like as a
we
lay person, what we understand by dualistic.
two
Two.
two-ness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Two. Means
two.
there are two.
Yeah,
No question about uh,
yeah.
the two,
Yes, sir.
isn't it? Huh.
Yeah,
So now, out of all the 6 darshans that are there in Indian philosophy,
yes, sir.
they are mentioning here that it is occupying an intermediate position between the idealist Vedanta and the realist Purva Mimamsa. तो बाकियों को तो अभी कुछ इधर इतना मेंशन नहीं किया है, बट एक्चुअली उनका
Yeah.
भी लेना देना है. पर so just in your mind imagine that in the middle if we write Samkhya and
Yeah.
उसके नीचे 2 डाल दें एंड
Yeah.
उसके राइट साइड में हम लिखें वेदांता और उसके नीचे 1 डाल दें 1
Okay.
and to the left we write Purva Mimamsa.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So so that too much of confusion doesn't happen. This Purva Mimamsa is more, it is karma related.
Yeah.
Karma, it is basically karma validates knowledge. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Like
Yeah.
whatever is happening, that is knowledge. So the experience becomes very supreme.
Okay.
What is Samkhya saying? अभी हम लोग ने देखा भी. Somebody, one of you said productive, productive and produced and neither
Yeah.
productive nor produced.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in Sankhya, they are talking about the cause and the effect. That
Yeah.
something is actually the cause, and from that, all these effects are there. So there is a production happening. There is some kind of coming out of entities from some other entity.
Yes, sir.
And so when we say that Sankhya is in that last paragraph, it's saying it's both realistic and dualistic. So
Okay.
realistic, so this is that realistic part, this production,
Okay.
that what is producing, what is, it is said also there that the at the root of the production is Prakriti.
Yeah.
It is productive, and from it everything is getting produced.
Yeah.
So this is the realistic part of Sankhya. But
Action
it is
oriented.
no, it is not.
Action
Yeah,
oriented.
it's not action exactly. That from Prakriti everything is getting produced. So they are
Okay.
holding that there is this one thing. In
Yeah.
certain other darshans like Purva Mimamsa and Vaisheshika and all, they
Yeah.
hold the belief that there are many tattvas that are already in existence. There
Yeah.
is no question about it.
Hmm.
It is already there in existence, certain number of tattvas. There is no one
Yeah.
prakriti that has made it or anything like that. And from that, number of things are derived. And
Okay.
the experience of those things gives the knowledge of those things. And this knowledge, this collective knowledge of all those things that are in existence, gives rise to the full knowledge of the universe.
Okay.
So this is what they are, referring to, this realist Purva Mimamsa group. So we can put that to one side. From there, we have come a little bit ahead where some are very definite Purusha and Prakriti are being said that they both are there. Dvaita, two, and
Yeah.
Prakriti is the one from which it is being produced. But we know, because we have, from quite some time, we have been seeing that it is why Prakriti produces all this. In Sankhya, we accept that it is to free the Purush, but actually it is to free its own bondage. Yes, till here we are clear.
Yes,
Then
sir.
we are coming from there to a mention that is being made, that idealist Vedanta. So Vedanta,
Yeah.
another name for Vedanta is called Advaita.
Okay.
Advaita means no two, not two.
Yeah. Hmm.
What is not two? What can be not two?
Which is one?
Yes. That which is one is not two.
Yeah.
And I'm shortening it in a very nutshell for you all. So
Yeah.
the in Vedanta, the entire idea is that uh, there is one, that is, it is called Brahman, or it is also
Yeah.
called Chaitanya. And
Yeah.
the belief is that there is, it is also given the name of Ishvara, but it is not correct to call it Ishvara. Ishvara and all comes later on in Vedanta. But
Okay.
for our understanding, we can call that this one tattva or one called Brahman or Ishvara has
Yeah.
a an energy called Maya,
Okay.
and this Maya produces everything. Means it evolves from this one, produces everything. The entire universe comes into being, and then at the time of pralay, everything goes back into that one. It is absorbed back into that one.
Okay.
So what we know as Prakriti in Samkhya is
Yeah.
understood or accepted to be part of that one itself, coming out
In
and
Vedanta.
going back in
Yeah.
again. So
Okay.
this is the difference. It becomes very, very important later on and all when certain other things are argued and explained. But for the sake of understanding the world, because like Surabhi said that we are in pain, we want to be free from the world. So whichever
Yeah.
we learn, we have to take that that is the main thing. ऐसा ही है करके.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
in that sense, that is idealist because that becomes very perfect. There is no loop. There is no
Mhm.
area for questioning
Okay.
in the idealist Vedanta. But that
Mm.
again, the one question has been raised that how do we know? And then they set about proving that.
Yeah.
In the same way that in Sankhya also, everything, all the things that are said have been proved.
Mm. Yeah.
How it is proved, we will see now in the days ahead when we look at the different kinds of praman.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why they are saying Sankhya is in a in between place. Because it is in an in between place, neither it is saying there is one, neither here. There is a lot of scope that, when you have that one extra uh, entity like Purush
Yeah.
and Prakriti. So
Mm-hmm.
there is scope for little bit of more of uh, how can I put it, going back, like a questioning, like an investigation.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for explaining.
Thank you, Rami.
Got it?
Somewhat, ma'am. I think there's a lot more, like it's a big sea, and
Yeah,
a lot of exploration has to be done. And but definitely, it's very, very interesting to
Did you
dig
get
deep
the
into it.
meaning of realism and idealism?
Yes, ma'am. Somewhat, not exactly, but somewhat.
Try
Yes.
to express it, it will become clear.
Uh, realist, uh, realist is when the things are evolving one after the other, and they have a cause behind from which they're evolving. That is the realist thing, something which is happening. And the idealist is where the origin is just one. The entire thing has one cause. That is the idealist thing.
Let
I
Raju
think,
verify if he feels that your answer is what he explained.
Raju sir, I'm very sorry. I don't know.
no, what is there to be sorry?
I understood that.
We, the only
Maybe
risk
how
is
would
we'll
you
be sorry.
explain realism and idealism? Survi?
Ma'am, Surabhi.
Yeah,
Says,
idealism is mm, theoretical, something that is there, but it's more a concept, whereas realism is something that is happening, it's existing. There are there is logic behind it. So in our day-to-day life also we use these terms, no? That uh, don't become very ideal. These are good ideals. They don't exist in reality. Things like this. So idealism is
And
something
now
that
it is saying that Sankhya is in between the two. आइडियलिस्ट कौन है यहाँ पर अपने इस स्टेटमेंट में?
आइडियलिस्ट है वेदांत,
और रियलिस्टिक कौन है?
पूर्व मीमांसा ग्रुप.
You know
That
anything
is all
as
about.
to what is Vedanta about and what is Purva Mimamsa about?
Ma'am, Purva Mimamsa speaks about the initial parts of the Vedas, which are based on the karma kand, the rituals, which are things to be done practically. And the Vedanta is about the Upanishads, the teachings, the essence, like the knowledge part. So that's the difference.
And
Which yeah,
इन दोनों के बीच में सांख्य है. कैसे?
it contains the essence of both of them, the practical part as well as the knowledge part.
Raju, you are satisfied now with Ranu's answer?
she's she'll get there. She's
You've got
like
onto the track.
Inching,
not even
inching
not even
towards,
onto the track. She's looking at the track. At
looking
least
at
she's
the track.
looking.
Oh, to be precise. Thank you, Raju sir. At least, yeah, fine, fine, definitely.
It's
Fine.
I'm looking
very,
towards.
yeah. I want to just point out that
Yes, sir.
all this, what even now, which became necessary, uh, we must never get into the trap of, although I'm referring back to Swami Bhaskaranya's thing, we must never look down upon it. This all may seem academic. Even the very words we are reading is a result of these kind of grammarians. To it is their work. So even he does not. He was only jovially. He did not put it down. So this also has a part to play. Without this, the understanding would never come, and actual practice would not come about. That is exactly the trap that Purva Mimamsa had. Only experience. Now I'll just jump and I'll come to Surabhi's understanding, what she is saying. So, when you said that it's very ideal like that, that is because they have put this word. Do you believe in God? Why do you believe in God then if you're putting idealism down? You cannot, the whole thing, there are a lot of uh, notions, and from a notion comes across the need for actually deriving and proving. And the whole concept of Ishwar has been expounded because of that idealist Vedanta, wherein other schools and all, there were limitations. They could not go beyond. Like, for example, a simple question. If these are the tattvas, certain amount of things exist in the universe, then comes the question, who created them? If they were created by somebody, then who created that person? Then if it is a person, if it is an entity, then how can it be a tattva? So these kind of questions, start arising. That is metaphysics. And these have been treated by all the different darshanas. The darshanas are not there for our enjoyment, actually. They are deep questions into the whole nature of what is and why it is. So
Yeah.
for us, they are all actually interconnected also, but that only when upon deep study one realizes it's very confusing also actually when one studies these things. That is why when one studies one, we gently don't mix it with the other, because we are not
Yeah.
at a stage at all where we know that we are masters of one philosophy. So this idealist Vedanta, why they are saying, because over there it becomes simplified for a person who is trying to understand that there is one entity and from that all has come. It's not saying don't question it, but it's saying that there is one entity and it's showing how. And it has been proved by a number of people, even one of them was Adi Shankaracharya. And there
Yeah.
were many before him and many after him. So I don't even need to say anything. And all these come from the Vedas, no less than the Vedas. So
Yeah.
all these so many darshans. So imagine that this realistic, dualistic, idealistic are all there in the Vedas. Then what will you say now? So these are understandings of what is being stated in the Vedas. So when we say idealistic, it means that in one's mind, you don't have to think of two or many. For example, Vaisheshika as a philosophy is very scientific. It goes right to the atom. And from the atom, it goes right to the universe, the Brahman.
Yeah.
There also, there was a belief in uh, the concept of an Ishvara. But this, what they are talking of, all the atoms and all, was separate. So, where this Vedanta, why it is one of the largest body of literature is that it is the one which grew from and with all these other bodies of literature. And then it went on and it expanded and expanded and providing answers to many things. And which is why in the Vad Vivad and all, the Vedantins would be very, very, would be able to answer many things. Whereas in all the other darshans also, they very strongly they would be able to answer, but they would have to have the base. Like for example, if in Samkhya, if we say, it would be accepted by when anything would be started, even by a Vedantin, that first we are starting off with Purusha and Prakriti. The two are there.
Yeah.
And then one thing would be argued like that. So many of the other darshans feel that it is very easy to say that Ishwar is the cause, explain why some of the problems in their own darshan, why this happens. Why, for example, such is there, like that.
Okay.
So that is what the difference of, like, realism is what we can perceive. Can we perceive God? But in Nyaya, it is actually logic is used to derive that how it is, what
Okay.
it is, what is the
Yeah.
unseen, what is, the soul, like that. In Vedanta,
Mm-hmm.
the entire meaning of what in some of the Upanishads, uh, what is this? The four, the Om itself, out of that comes the fourth is called Turiya. What it is, it is described the different states. So is that idealistic means is it all imagined? No, they actually set about showing and proving what it is. Sometimes by negating what is not, sometimes by supporting what is. So Sankhya has a unique position in all of this, is that in Sankhya, the pramans become very refined, which we'll go on to see. Pratyaksha praman, anumanam,
Yeah.
and aptavachanam.
Yeah.
So that is why here,
Yeah.
I'm just sharing one of the reasons why it said it occupied an intermediate position between, on one hand, the realist, like based on experience, what we see by our eyes, our experience,
Yeah.
and by the idealist, where they bring in the concept of Ishwar and Maya, where Prakriti is defined or called as Maya Shakti. And for that, then you have to believe in Ishwar. In Sankhya, in these Karikas, we are not learning about Ishwar. Where is the mention of Ishwar? There is no mention of Ishwar. I hope you all saw my question, what I put that day. I
I
didn't
am
say
yet
it
to
in the
see that.
beginning. Niranjan sir asked the question because it was a very important question. And that
Okay.
Swamiji left it to the Pandits.
Okay.
So these actual practice are for human living, even the yamas and niyamas. And but the trick or the twist is that unless we know through yoga, which is the darshan that we are foremost in, why is Sankhya outlined here? So that the practice of yoga can happen. What did Swamiji say that day? That हम योगा ही हम करते हैं, योग शास्त्र ही हम करते हैं.
Yeah.
You cannot practice Sankhya. You can practice yoga.
Yeah. The practical part. Okay. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And the trick is that only a person who goes through the 8 limbs of yoga and comes up till almost till samadhi becomes a true Pandit Rishi. That is the twist.
Mm-hmm.
For that, we need more than one lifetime.
Mm.
Now we'll go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Sir, just one very specific thing you mentioned that made it a little more clear for me. You said that realist is that which we can see. So now it
For the
makes
time
me
being. For
understand
the time being.
for the time being. Okay. So it makes me understand that the idealist is that which we cannot see directly, but about which we can infer by various means.
Perceive also. Sight
Sorry,
is
sir?
not only, it is not necessary to only see or hear and all, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
All the indriyas are there, but there is something else also. Even the manas is there.
Yeah. Yes, of course.
So at the beginning of inquiring into Sankhya, Sankhya is an inquiry, no?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
what are the questions that you are looking at to get answer from Sankhya? Personally, for each one of you.
Ma'am, I would like to say something. In the beginning, I used to think that Samkhya is all about Sankhya, which means number, 25 elements and many, all numbers, numbers, numbers. That's why its name is Sankhya, was my belief. But later on, I came to know that it's not exactly it's apart from this, apart from Sankhya, there's more to it. Kya, Kya is like Khyati or knowing. So the root words are self-explanatory. The first part, sang, means gyan sort of thing, and sorry, I'm not again I'm getting confused, but I got some clarity with the root word kya, which means knowledge. So that made it interesting that it has got it's not just about the number, it's about discriminative knowledge, true knowledge. So this is something I found really interesting.
Excellent. So what is the question that you are looking at to be answered in the study of Samkhya? What are the questions that you are inquiring into?
Ma'am, the very same question I would again like to ask you. As I told you that I had put the question there in the group, but I couldn't, I have not yet been able to see the recording. I will have to see. But my question is, uh, ma'am, somewhere we learned that from the sattvic component of ahankar, uh, these our senses have been made, like indriyas. The Gyanendriyas have been made out of the sattvic component of ahankar.
Correct.
So, yeah, ma'am. So, what I was wondering about is that if sattvic is the origin, if sattvic has to be the nature of it, so why is it that throughout, मतलब सारी जिंदगी हमको इतना struggle क्यों करना पड़ता है सात्विक state में आने के लिए? Why doesn't it come to us effortlessly? That was my question. सत्व में आना इतना मुश्किल फिर क्यों होता है हमारे लिए?
Okay, so that is the question you want answered by entering into Sankhya study. Survi, what is your question?
Ma'am, I feel, see, before learning this, there was a way in which I was living life, going through various things, different experiences, and so on. There has to be, I want a difference, a better way of going through life by learning this, knowing what is the right thing to do, what is not. I've said this before, this is like a life coach. So I want a difference in the way I live life. I lived life before knowing Sankhya and after knowing Sankhya. The things that troubled me before, I look forward to answers here so that I get over those things and I'm at least less troubled, if not fully out of it. So I want to be less distracted, more focused, less distracted by things which I used to feel are very important, but they are not really. But you realize that they are not important only when you learn and you come across knowledge like this. Otherwise, everything around is very important for us. So, one is I want to have a better way of living life where I'm more focused. I'm able to practice what I learn more bit by bit in the everyday routine that I do. Uh, so this is I want a
What is
better.
your question, Raju?
My question is to know the way in which Prakriti functions. That means to gain a better understanding into how I function.
Sorry, maybe I didn't hear you properly. I didn't get you.
Yeah. My question is to know the way in which Prakriti functions. That is essentially to gain a better
That
understanding
is
of
to?
how to gain a better understanding of how I function.
And why only through Sankhya then?
It is through this that I will get the answers.
Why do you choose Sankhya?
Because we ourselves are Prakriti, and most of the time without an understanding of what
But that
and how, we are
what
functioning
makes you think that
in past
Sankhya
so long.
is the one that will tell you how you function? We
Yeah.
read all this background of Sankhya just now.
Because
Previous
it goes
pages.
into all the tattvas in a most detailed way. Sankhya is the study that goes into it into such a detailed way. That is why it will give a better understanding.
And so far, you must have read the entire thing just in our classes only. How many times?
So many times. And still, little
How much have you
windows have opened.
learnt of what you are out to learn again?
Little windows have opened.
Are you a micromillimeter closer?
Yes, I can safely say that. Very micro, if it can be measured like that. At the same time, it has opened up newer areas of which I knew not only that existed, that I had to get to know
So you are
about
more
myself.
aware of your ignorance now.
110%.
So really speaking, it has made you more ignorant rather than more knowing.
No, it has made me aware there is a difference. To be aware of my ignorance was not there years ago. At that time, I was only existing in ignorance. Now that little millimeter differences from existing in ignorance, I have moved into being aware of the ignorance. That little change is what Sankhya has brought about, which in itself is a very big thing, I see.
For me, Sankhya is about its permanency. Right from tender age, I was always looking for things that will be long lasting or rather permanent. That little brain, I would try and make use of things and material in a manner that it lasts longest. That used to give me some satisfaction. So very obviously, when I learned about Sankhya providing a permanent solution to pain, I said, hey, I found it. So therefore, I am with Sankhya. Because it not ensures with authority, it says, only Sankhya can provide it. Then, of course, because it was handed down to me by Dr. Jaydev, so I trusted it even more. Because he knows what's best for me better than I know it. Chalo.
So, just one more thought, ma'am. We have read this also earlier in a few Quarikas that the learned or those who know Sankhya, they are moved with compassion and sympathy towards the worldly who, like here they are writing, quiver in the pit of worldly enjoyments. I am that who is quivering in the pit of worldly enjoyments. So there is a curiosity that what is it that is not right, that is happening with creatures like me, and which learned people saw and felt sympathy for. So there's also curiosity because I am here. So I would like to get out of there little by little, step by step.
Yeah. Good.